An elephant you met once. Years pass, you return. The animal stands at the far end of its enclosure, back turned, unhurried. Before you speak, before you move, before you even get close, something changes in the elephant's posture. The ears shift, the trunk lifts slightly. It already knows something about you. The question is how much, and how long it held on. Everyone has heard the phrase, elephants never forget. It gets repeated constantly, in wildlife documentaries, in casual conversation, on greeting cards, but the phrase almost never comes with a source, so researchers went looking for one. What they found is stronger than most people expect, and stranger than the popular story suggests. If elephants hold long-term memories of specific people, it changes how we think about every encounter, every keeper, every tourist, every stranger who ever stood close enough to be read. This video covers how elephants sort people by smell, sound, and sight, and what one zoo study found after a 13-year gap. Start with the sensory picture. Elephants do not experience people the way people experience each other. Their lead channel is smell, then sound, then sight, in roughly that order. Each channel carries different information, and each channel reaches different conclusions. Researchers studying African elephants in Amboseli found that elephants could sort cloth worn by two different groups of people by odor alone, even when visual cues were removed completely. One group had a long history of conflict with elephants in that region, the other did not. The elephants responded more defensively to cloth from the higher risk group, without seeing anything at all. Think of it less like recognizing a face and more like reading a file, one that arrives before the person does. The same research found a second channel working in parallel. Elephants responded more aggressively to red garments, the color associated with one of the groups, even when scent cues were controlled separately. Two independent signals, both carrying the same warning. Then researchers went further with sound. In playback experiments using voice recordings, elephants responded more defensively to voices from the higher risk group than from the lower risk group. Researchers then separated voices by sex and age within the same group. Women and boys triggered far weaker defensive responses than men. The elephant was not hearing a person. The elephant was hearing something closer to, what kind of person, and how much attention do they deserve right now? Vision contributes, but it rarely leads. A study of 10 captive female Asian elephants found the animals gestured most when a person's face and body both faced them directly, suggesting elephants register human attentional stance. But in a separate experiment, 7 Asian elephants failed to use human pointing or body orientation to locate hidden food. The eyes register, the nose decides. Before getting to whether elephants remember specific people, you need to understand the scale of what elephant memory already does with their own kind. Adult female African elephants can discriminate among contact calls from multiple social partners. That is not a casual familiarity. That is a structured social archive, maintained across years of movement and separation. For comparison, most people struggle to reliably identify more than a few dozen voices, even among people they know well. A separate study used scent traces from elephants mixed into soil in an expectancy violation design. Elephants recognized up to 17 individuals, possibly as many as 30 family members from scent alone. The memory was not simply recognition, it was spatial. The elephant appeared to track where a known individual ought to be relative to itself. When the scent appeared in the wrong place, the elephant noticed. That is not a passive database. That is active social modeling. The oldest female in a group carries a disproportionate share of this knowledge. Research showed that matriarchs shape their family's ability to discriminate among unfamiliar callers. When the matriarch is gone, that accumulated social intelligence goes with her. Populations that experienced disruption decades earlier still performed worse on social recognition tests than undisturbed populations. The damage persisted long after the event itself. A single death can hollow out a herd's ability to read the world around it. Now the study that pays off the question this video opened with. 2 African savanna elephant cows at a zoo. These elephants had been cared for by specific keepers and then separated from those keepers for 13 years. Researchers tested 3 channels: voice recordings, visual images, and scent samples. Across all 3, the elephants showed more interest in their former keepers than in unfamiliar humans. But the clearest result, the one that held up statistically, was smell. After 13 years apart, the scent was the thing that held. This is the best peer-reviewed evidence so far that an elephant can retain a memory of a specific human, not a category, not a type, but one person, across a genuinely long separation. The channel that carried it was not sight, it was smell, and there is a reason that makes sense. Research on African elephants found that scent encodes both individual identity and group membership simultaneously. An elephant's nose reads a layered profile. 13 years later, that profile remained recognizable. The honest limit: 2 elephants, 1 zoo. The result is promising, not settled. The researchers framed it as a first empirical signal, not a final answer. Not every study points the same direction. One experiment tested 14 captive Asian elephants to see whether the animals would prefer a cooperative human over a non-cooperative one, either from direct experience or from watching that person interact with someone else. The elephants did not reliably choose the better person. The researchers themselves warned against reading this as proof of absence. The experimental design may not have matched how elephants naturally gather social information, which builds through extended contact across multiple senses, not a short controlled session. A few minutes in a controlled enclosure is a thin substitute for years of shared experience. The gap matters. Evidence for elephants recognizing human categories, one group versus another, men versus boys, is strong and replicated across multiple studies. Evidence for recognizing a specific familiar person after long separation now exists, but rests on 2 individuals. Evidence for elephants assigning a stable positive or negative reputation to one specific human, built from multiple acts of kindness or cruelty, remains inconclusive under formal testing. That is where the peer-reviewed record currently runs out of road. So here is what the evidence actually gives you. Elephants are long-memory social readers of people. They sort by smell first, then voice, then visual cues. They can hold a specific person's scent for at least 13 years. They track roughly 100 individuals within their own species by call alone. They respond to humans not as a single category, but as a set of meaningful distinctions, by group, by sex, by age, by history. Every time a person steps into range, a read begins. Most people never know it happened. What the evidence does not yet give you: a clean demonstration that one act of kindness gets filed under a specific person's name and retrieved years later to change how that elephant treats them. That story is not disproven, it is just not yet proven. The next time you stand near an elephant, the reading is already started. Before you speak, before you move, mostly through your smell, carried on the air before you arrive. And depending on what that elephant already knows, depending on what its nose is already filed away, that read may last considerably longer than you will.